In the dark underworld of the drug trade, one notorious figure ruled with an iron hand, but his power would finally fall. So who was this terrible kingpin? Join us as we dig into the gripping demise of a true kingpin, a story of deception, treachery, and a destiny linked with fate. Once, in the quaint town of Lewiston, Maine, there lived a man named Abraham Rodriguez. To his neighbors, he was known as the friendly guy next door, always ready with a warm smile and a welcoming demeanor. There was a thrilling secret lurking behind his seemingly ordinary existence. Abraham had an insatiable passion for adventure and a hobby that set his heart racing: dirt bike riding. Together with his band of buddies, he would tear through the rugged terrains, embracing the thrill and freedom that came with each daring leap. No one in the peaceful town of Lewiston could have fathomed the unbelievable truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. Abraham Rodriguez was not his true name, and his past was as captivating as it was dangerous. In reality, he was none other than Alpo Martinez, a man that sent shivers down the spines of those who knew of his dark and notorious reputation in the drug-infested streets of Harlem. Back in the 1980s, Alpo had reigned supreme as one of the most feared and respected crack cocaine dealers. His dominance knew no bounds, and the intoxicating power he wielded was matched only by the sheer number of individuals who desired his demise. However, life took an unexpected turn for Alpo when he made the fateful decision to cooperate with the authorities, becoming a vital witness under the protective veil of witness protection. By turning his back on his former criminal associates and exposing their illicit operations to law enforcement, he had unwittingly painted a target on his back, attracting the wrath of those he had once called allies. Yet it appeared that Alpo could never truly escape the clutches of his treacherous past. News spread like wildfire through the streets when in 2021, word of his untimely demise reached the ears of the public, a victim of a drive-by shooting. This, viewers, is the tale of Alpo Martinez, a man who walked the tightrope between two worlds, a virtuous guardian of justice in the light of a charismatic kingpin of Harlem's shadows. According to an interview with the New York Times, Kevin Childs, a former friend of Martinez and a reformed cocaine dealer, described Martinez as an individual who constantly sought attention and thrived on adrenaline. Childs added that during their youth, they were all young adults with ample money at their disposal. Despite his young age, Martinez displayed a ruthless nature and was willing to eliminate his rivals, often enlisting hitmen to carry out the killings. However, there were instances when Martinez personally participated in these acts, such as the murder of his former partner and close friend, Rich Porter, in 1990. Martinez suspected that Porter had excluded him from significant business dealings, leading to his involvement in Porter's demise. The murder of Porter marked a turning point for Martinez's downfall. Within a year, he attempted to expand his operations to Washington, D.C., but was apprehended and faced charges related to drug trafficking. At this critical juncture, Martinez received an offer that would ultimately change the course of his life: a reduced sentence in exchange for becoming a federal witness. Martinez accepted the deal, betraying his friends and associates. He admitted guilt for orchestrating 7 murders, and his testimony effectively dismantled the cocaine network in Washington, D.C. The betrayal Alpo Martinez committed within the underground drug trade did not go unnoticed, and he became a target for retribution. Consequently, he was enrolled in the federal witness protection program and signed a new identity: Abraham Rodriguez. Following his release from the ADX Supermax Federal Prison in Florence, Colorado, in 2015, Martinez, now known as Rodriguez, officially entered witness protection. As reported by the New York Amsterdam News, he received a new identification card bearing his new name and was instructed to relocate to Lewiston, Maine, a tranquil and inconspicuous city. Initially, it appeared that Martinez was genuinely endeavoring to rebuild his life. He settled into a new apartment where he established cordial relationships with his neighbors, secured employment at Walmart, and even engaged in basketball games with local youths. Only 2 years later, Martinez ventured into entrepreneurship, establishing his own construction business. Neither his employees nor the individuals he interacted with in the area suspected his involvement in a multitude of violent drug transactions in the past. Regrettably, Martinez encountered difficulties severing ties with his former life entirely. Shortly after his release from prison, he reached out to his old friend, Childs, desiring to elucidate his motivations for becoming an informant in the early 1990s. However, Martinez's actions went beyond mere communication. Despite being cautioned about the risks of defying his witness protection agreement, he began revisiting Harlem, his previous stomping ground. There were these sightings, almost like Bigfoot, Childs recounted to the New York Times. People claim to have seen him. Nick Papa Constantine, one of Martinez's closest friends in Lewiston, suspected as early as 2018 that Martinez had violated the conditions of witness protection. Papa Constantine observed Martinez taking trips to New York with someone else and displaying constant paranoia about government surveillance. However, upon arriving in New York, Martinez seemed completely unconcerned about maintaining a low profile. By 2020, Martinez's visits to Harlem became so frequent that he spent very little time in Lewiston. He appeared determined to rebuild his reputation in his old neighborhood, but his previous status as the mayor of Harlem had long faded. Then, on October 31st, 2021, Martinez met a sudden and violent end. When news spread that the 55-year-old had been shot and killed in Harlem, many assumed that the perpetrator was a vengeful rival or any old enemy seeking retribution. It seemed that Martinez's troubled past, despite the initial assumption that Martinez's killing was an act of revenge or retribution for his past actions, the truth turned out to be far less cinematic. According to the New York Daily News, Martinez's death resulted from his reckless driving habits rather than his history as an informant. Martinez allegedly collided with a man named Shaquem Parker while riding his motorcycle. Martinez had a reputation for driving too closely to pedestrians, and although the incident seemed relatively minor, it reportedly sparked a deep-seated grudge in Parker that festered for months. On Halloween around 3:20 a.m., Parker spotted Martinez driving past him in a red Dodge Ram pickup truck. Seeing an opportunity, Parker fired 3 shots through the truck driver's side window. He momentarily turned away, then turned back and fired 2 more shots. Martinez was struck in the arm and chest, with 1 bullet piercing his heart. In the final moments, as recounted by an NYPD source to the New York Daily News, Martinez was seen throwing bags of heroin out of the window. The source revealed he leaves a trail of discarded heroin packages behind, spaced out a few feet apart as if he knows that he's been shot and the police will arrive soon. He doesn't want to be caught with all that heroin. When news of Martinez's death reached Lewiston, his former neighbors were at a loss for words. They could only recall him as a generally pleasant man who was friendly with the children in the neighborhood. For close friends like Nick Papa Constantine, Martinez's demise served as a revelation about his true nature, evoking a mix of complex emotions. Nick Papa Constantine expressed his struggle to reconcile the image of Martinez he knew with the revelations surrounding his life. He admitted, "I want to believe that he was always sincere, but when you read about these things, it's hard to make sense of it." However, the residents of Harlem who were familiar with Martinez seemed less taken aback by the circumstances of his death. He met his end like a character out of a comic book. He seemed to provoke faith. As we get to the end of this documentary about Alpo Martinez's downfall, we are left with a stark reminder of the dangers that await anyone who enters into the perilous world of crime and power. But this isn't the end of the story. If you want more stories about mystery and the dark side of society, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.